about the weirdest dream you've had that you don't actually think was a dream.
In 2018, my best friend of 15 years, Keisha, died unexpectedly and kind of traumatically. A little traumatic for those of us who were there, just because it was completely unexpected, I guess. And so the night she died, I had heard that my friend called me and told me that she was dead, and I started freaking out and calling her. It went to voicemail. I was calling her family, nobody was answering. I was calling our other friends, nobody was answering. I called the hospital, and they told me that, well, I asked if anybody by her name has been admitted in, and she said yes. They brought her in about an hour ago, or something like that, and I'm like, well, is she okay? And she's like, we can't release that kind of information over the phone. And then she kept apologizing to me, so it just made me feel like it wasn't good. So I got off the phone, and then my ex, who was actually Keisha's stepbrother, I called him and told him what was going on, and he's like, well, where are you? And I told him I was at home, and so he showed up here, and at the same time my friend Jordan, who's the one that called me to tell me that she was dead, shows up at the same time too, and I was on the front lawn, literally on my knees, just like crying and being hysterical. And then my friend Kelsey messages me and says they have a pulse, and in that moment I remember feeling that okay, so this isn't, she's not dead, she's gonna be okay, like, it's not that serious, like. And then she also said they're trying to stabilize her to life flight her to Portland. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good, right? So Alex leaves, and Jordan and I go up to the hospital, and at the time they wouldn't let me go back, but her mom showed up and told them that I was her sister, because they were only letting family back there. So, and we're still in the ER at this point, and she's being intubated, or intubated, like a nurse with one of those little breathing thingies, and they're breathing for her. And then eventually, like, her baby daddy came and like made this big scene. That's not really important, but because of that, they called the cops. So when the cops showed up, they asked her mom, well, okay, so the hospital, or the nurses, doctors, whatever, they were wanting to bring her up to ICU, and at the time, I was thinking, like, okay, this is a good thing, maybe, right? But at the same time, and again, at this moment, I didn't realize this either, this cop came up to her mom and was like, do you guys have, like, like a pastor or a reverend or somebody you want to call? And, so she gives them a name. I don't know this guy, like, I met him, obviously, but anyway. So then, I go outside to smoke a cigarette, and, when I'm out there, Kelsey messages me, and she's like, you didn't leave, did you? And I said, no, I'm outside smoking, and she's like, okay, good, you need to get up here right now. So I do, and Jordan's waiting out in the truck the whole time. He doesn't go up there with me. Anyway, so I go in, I sign in, and I go up to the 4th floor, and then I go into the waiting room, and when I get in there, there's a doctor there talking to her mom, and all of us, there was kind of a lot of us there, saying that, that there's nothing they could really do, that even if they couldn't stabilize her, there was a point where she was clinically dead for like 45 minutes and had no oxygen to her brain, so her brain damage was significant and most likely irreversible, so even if we could stabilize her, she's going to be a vegetable. So the only thing we can suggest is that you guys go in and say your goodbyes. So that was really fucking hard. So we did, and then I found out later that, well, no, I already knew that she had had pneumonia for several months. She had really bad asthma. She was a smoker, cigarettes, since we were like, I don't know, like 14 maybe, 13. And, she wasn't taking, or she didn't go get the medication that the hospital prescribed her a few months prior. So she just got worse and worse, and then I think, from my understanding of it, she actually had a heart attack because her body just kind of gave out because she wasn't taking care of herself. And so anyway, after she died, I kind of spiraled out of control. I was already not sober and I was on probation, and so I didn't check in for like a month because I wasn't really thinking about how long it had been. And I was driving taxi in my hometown, and I was working graveyard shift, so I just like wasn't mentally there. I was checked out pretty fucking far. So then when I finally did go to check in, I got put in jail on a probation violation, and then as soon as I got out, I moved into a sobriety house, and I lived in the sobriety house for about a month. But so the point of me moving into the sobriety house is about a month after she died. And then within like the first week I was living there, I started having these dreams that I'd be with Keisha's mom and her daughters and her brother, and we'd be like at a park or something, or just having like lunch or whatever, and Keisha wasn't there, and we weren't talking about her, but I could hear her voice like fading in and out, like she was trying to talk to me, but I just couldn't understand what she was saying, and it was like really quiet. And then over the course of a few days, I kept having these dreams like that, and until finally one night I had a dream like that again, and like she was trying to talk to me and I couldn't hear her, and I just kept saying like, what, like, and then I could feel like this surge of like anger, and like I think that it was her like getting frustrated that I couldn't hear her. And she just screams out, fuck! And it wakes me up. I literally shot up out of bed, and I had ringing in my ears from her screaming in my ear, fuck. And like, that was fucking weird. And it brought up a lot of emotions at the time. But then a couple days later, I had the dream. And now, I've always had extremely vivid dreams my entire life. Like, for some reason, they're just super fucking vivid. And I remember that, well, you know, I remember what I remember, but I remember a lot of my dreams. And a lot of details about them. So, in this dream, a lot of this dream was kind of fuzzy, except for her. Like, so in this dream, I was in this house that I'd never been in, I don't recognize it, and, I'm waiting for somebody to pick me up. I didn't know who at the time. Then I go outside, and her car's out there. Again, it didn't register to me that it was her car. And I get in the back seat, and because there was someone in the front seat, and which was my friend Jordan. Now, like, Jordan, I describe this as like, he was just my mind's projection of him, because he was like really fuzzy. He didn't say anything throughout the whole dream. Like, wasn't even acknowledged, and it was like he was just a little mannequin there or something. Yeah. And then, so she was driving, and I was sitting in the middle of the back seat. I was leaning forward, talking to her, and she starts driving. And this might sound cliche, but she was literally like driving off into the sunset. Like, yeah, I don't know. There was just orange, red, beautiful yellow glow around us, and she was just like driving into the sun. And she was super clear. I could hear her very well. And we just started talking about the fact that she was dead, and how much I missed her, and how sad I was that she was gone. And again, not to sound cliche, but she was telling me how happy she was and how okay she was, and to not be sad for her, that she loves me and she loves her girls and her family, and she's still here, just different. And I'm like, well, it's all the same. And she's like, well, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. But when I woke up, I felt very at peace. It was probably one of the best dreams I've ever had. And yeah, I have not had a dream about her since. Yeah, I fucking miss the shit out of her, though. She was such an awesome person.
I get paid every day, I get paid
don't actually think was a dream at all.
I've been waiting for somebody to say this. Alright. So, I'm gonna explain my... I wouldn't say, like, story or whatever. I don't know. It happened back in 2005. And I haven't really been able to have that much sleep ever since. I would say mine was more of an outer body experience, not necessarily a dream. But I'll get into that. I'm gonna try and make this one part so it doesn't have multiple parts. So let me just get down to what happened. Alright, so I'm down here in Florida, and I lived in a hotel with my mom and my stepdad. I went to bed one night, and it was just, like, weird, because, like, my whole day was fine. I had fun or whatever, and then I was tired, and I went to bed. And so I'm sleeping, and I don't think it was, like, that much into my sleep, to be honest, because it happened really fast. And all of a sudden, I was in my Nana and Pepe's house. I was like, but it felt so real. Like, I felt like I was actually there. So, like, when you first get to the house, it's like a trailer. They live up in Maine. And so, like, when you walked in, it was a mudroom. And then to the right was the door. And then there was, like, my Nana's computer area or whatever. It was in the mudroom. And then you go in, and then, like, right there was the living room, and to your right was the kitchen. And to the left, what was that? Anyways, to the left, that's a big beetle. Anyways, one part. So, to the left, when you walk in, you see, like, the living room. And then you walk through, there's a little hallway. And then you got a door, which was my Nana's room. You got another door, which was the closet. And then you get another door, which is the bathroom. And then you got another door at the end, which was my Pepe's room. Across from the bathroom door was the dog room. And leading off from the dog room and to a back area room was the smoke room. So I'm walking through, my Nana's sleeping, the dogs are quiet, they're sleeping, and my Pepe's sleeping. All of a sudden, my Pepe gets up. I'm standing in between the bathroom, the dog room, and his room. So it's like one little corner. And he, like, walks past me. He walks past me, and he goes into the bathroom, and he uses the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? What is this? And he finishes his business. He turns around. He goes to wash his hands. And, like, he turns the water on. He has soap and everything. He's washing his hands. And then all of a sudden he stops and he grabs the sink. And I'm like, Pepe, are you okay? Like, are you okay? And nothing. Like, no response. I don't know why I would think that I would get a response, but I didn't get any response. And then he, like, grabs for his chest, and then he turns from the sink. The water's still running. He turns from the sink, and then he rushes into his room, and so I follow him. I rush with him. And I'm like, Pepe, are you okay? Are you okay? Mind you, at this time, I am 15 years old. And so I'm, like, freaking out. Like, I don't know what's going on. I can't help him. He's fumbling for his medicine. Next thing I know, he drops. Just drops. The whole house is silent. And when he dropped, he took the night table and the lamp that was on top of the night table with him. So it all came down. Big crash. My Nana's still sleeping. The dogs didn't make a peep. I'm freaking out. The water's still running. And then next thing you know, everything just... And I'm back in my bed in Florida. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm freaking out. And I'm trying not to wake up my parents because I'm in a hotel room. We slept in the same room. And I'm trying not to freak out. And so, like, I make myself fall asleep again. And then I wake back up, and then we get a phone call. I didn't realize that it was my aunt until I handed the phone to my mom, and my mom was like, oh, it's your Aunt Mickey. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, hi. And then I was like, realized, I was like, wait, they don't really call us. Like, and so my mom, she went from like happy to all of a sudden she was serious. She had this serious look on her face. And I looked at her and I automatically knew something was wrong. I was like, I automatically knew something bad happened with my Pepe and he wasn't here anymore. And I ran out to the pool area and I puked in the corner of the pool. And then I turned around and I went back into the room and I'm just like freaking out. And my mom's like, because my mom, when she started crying, that's when I ran out. Because I'm like, that was when I officially, like, yeah, that, I know what was going on. I come back, my mom's still crying. She had gotten off the phone, and I explained to her what I had seen in my dream, out-of-body experience, as I say it now. And my mom, she just looked at me with this, like, shocked look on her face. She was just, like concerned, but she was also, shocked. And then I looked at her, and I was like, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you not saying anything? I was like, what's going on? And then my mom told me that they had found my Pepe, and my Nana had found my Pepe in the morning when she woke up. The water was still running in the bathroom. She turned off the water in the sink. She went around the corner in the bedroom, and she found him on the floor. And he was passed away. The side table was down with him, with the lamp next to him. And I've been freaking out ever since. I haven't really been able to sleep. And it's been that long. It's been that long. Since 2005. I'm 33 now. I was 15 then. Well, 14 when I'm 15. And I haven't been the same since. But I just wanted to share my story about what happened to my Pepe and my outer body experience. It's freaky. I've had other instances too where I know where, like, when family members pass, like, the same thing happened with my grandma Grace. My mom had to leave. They didn't say anything to my stepsister and my stepbrother. And when they came back, I walked up to them and I was like, Grandma Grace passed away. And they were like, how did you know? Like, nobody said anything. Like, they said that they were going on a little vacation type thing, like honeymoon type thing or something like that. And that's what they really were going for, was a funeral. And I knew it. I don't know. But yeah, that was my story. And it's a true story. It really happened.
That you don't actually think was a dream at all.
I grew up in a house that was extremely haunted, and one of the main things that would happen was I would experience the spirit of this little girl named Carly. And when I first started seeing her, I was seeing her in dreams. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would see her in my room. And she was this little girl, maybe about 8 years old. She was wearing a red dress. She had blonde curly hair, and sometimes she had a teddy bear with her. And she would just be standing there, and she'd be like waiting for me to wake up, and she'd be like, "Hey, do you want to come play with me?" So I would be like, "Yeah, sure." And I would get up out of bed, and I would look back in the bed, and I would see myself still laying in the bed. So like I would know that something was really off about it, but for some reason in the dream I would always go with her. So she would lead me outside to this really creepy crawl space that was on the side of our house, and she would open the door and she would say, "Get in." And at that point I would get hit with this like even worse sense of dread than I had before, like something really bad was going to happen if I went in. So I would say no, and she would start screaming, like ear-piercing screaming, and she would be crying, and her tears would be like glowing and like silver, and it was this whole thing. And I would usually like feel like I was getting sucked back into my body, and I would wake up. So the story does not end there. So I also heard the voice of a little girl in that house several times, and so did my mother. One time we were in the kitchen together, and it was just the two of us home alone, and we heard a little girl calling "Mom" across the house. So a short time later, my family moved to the state capital for about a year, and my older brother and his wife moved into that house while we were gone, and they had a ton of experiences, but one of those experiences was my brother's wife woke up in the middle of the night, saw herself sleeping in bed, and saw this little girl in the red dress looking at her asking, "Do you want to play with me?" And when she said no, the little girl started screaming and started crying, and it was terrifying. So another interesting thing is that sometimes the dreams didn't always go the same way. Like it would always like start and end the same way, but the things that would happen in between were different. So sometimes she and I would have a conversation, and in this conversation I asked for her name, and I'm not going to say her full name here, but she told me her first, middle, and last name, and her first name was Carly. So when I was in middle school, my best friend at the time and I would ghost hunt in my house a lot, and we got EVPs that said that entire full name, like clear as day, said Carly and then middle name and last name. Now I have searched this name all over the internet. I can't find anything about her, so not sure what that's about. But that is how she identified herself to me. And that is how she identified herself in EVPs. I have had a lot of other really intense spiritual experiences through dreams, but that is like probably the first one that I ever had. And it's just so impactful because it didn't just affect me, it like affected so many other people. So many other people had the same experience. So yeah, I still wonder to this day who Carly was.
That you don't actually think was a dream at all.
Okay, so before I go to bed, I was led by Spirit to actually tell you one of mine. Maybe y'all can help me make sense of it. And just a side note, this is a reoccurring dream that I've had all my life. Same exact way. To the T, you know. I start off, it's like I'm on a journey. It shows me running, you know, through different, I'm gonna say frames. Kind of like different movie frames or different sections. I'm running from the city, and then I go to down the road, and I keep running and running, and I go, you know, through this field, and then I in the first part of this field is like football or whatever, and I keep running, and then I go to like a prairie wheat field, and I keep on traveling and traveling, and then I get to this pathway. There's trees on each side with a pathway going down, and it's lit up between the trees. I veer off, and I go deeper into the trees, and And I'm led by spirit to this specific tree that has a specific hole in the trunk of the tree. Now, I am drawn to this trunk of the tree for some reason, and I don't really know why. It kind of makes you think of Alice in Wonderland when she falls into the hole and she goes down the rabbit hole and she ends up in Wonderland. Well, I do not end up in Wonderland, but I do end up in a royal hitting room with throne chair and a bunch of gold and a bunch of ancient written knowledge that apparently was passed down from my ancestors. There was a royal trunk with different garments inside. There were different, so many different things. You could tell this was a hitting sector of somebody of high stature. And there was a little table in this place. It was next to the wall. But you go down into the hall and then you look to your left and here's this stand with a little light. And it wasn't your natural light either. It was like, and by natural I mean what we're used to light. This was actual, how can I put it? It was actual from energy itself, light connected to plants. It was an amazing thing, and it was like it was my inheritance. And there was a letter in a journal that was written to me. I can't tell you what was inside. I'm not permitted, but I will tell you this. I would go out of it, and then I'll always frequent back. But this one time, I tried to bring a friend with me to show them this. But it was a dangerous time. See, I started seeing little shadows walking and running like a war, like soldiers, trying, I guess, to harm the tree that had all my inheritance in it. But I had the power. Like, I could literally hold energy in my hands, and I had the power to protect the life of this tree. And this tree was not only a hiding spot for this inheritance, but it was shown to me that it was the tree of life itself, that I was the guardian of it. And I'm like, okay. And while I'm there, it does like in Fern Gully, how when the elder fairy called upon the spirits and the light and the earth force of the forest and the creatures, and it would look like that, and it would glow like something out of a fairy tale. But when this happened, when these soldiers come and I had to defend the tree, I could literally shoot energy balls out of my hand at these people, and I could make a barrier around it so they couldn't touch it. And every time I would defeat them, I would wake up. No, I don't know if it has anything to do with my calling or my gifts, but this is a frequent dream that I've had since I was a child. And it's just one of many. I've got one about the end times that I will share with you when Source allows me to. But right now he's saying for me to be quiet because it will be revealed in time. It's already started. I can give you a hint. By calling me a demon slayer, you may just have confirmed what I was shown. But that's all I can say about that one. But this one always had me puzzled. What are your thoughts? but that is my dream. That is one of the trips in the astral plane that I am shown over and over again. It's something that I remember and I wrote down, and it's something that sticks with me. So please, guys, you know, thank you for following me. Any insight on this will be very appreciated and very much welcomed. It's about time for me to get my sleepy butt to bed and get back at it tomorrow and see what it holds. Peace, love, and light, guys. Good night.
That you don't actually think was a dream at all. I'll go.
The weirdest dream I ever had actually caused a really big fight between me and my twin brother. And it's hilarious. I've delivered the mail for 18 years now. And this must have been at least 10 years ago. They had this car. Been through a lot of fucking cars. And I dreamed that we were fixing the back brakes because back then I didn't make as much money and he was my mechanic and I was his big helper. And in the dream, he told me that whatever was wrong with the back brakes couldn't be fixed. And I was like, okay, so it's just gonna be a problem. And he was like, yeah, you're just gonna wear out like the brake pads and we'll have to replace them, whatever. Couple months after that dream, the back brakes really went out in the car. And he takes the back end of the car apart. This is a Ford Taurus and it had the drum brakes. And I was like, I thought you told me that couldn't be fixed. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, no, you told me, like, we already knew this was a problem. And you told me it couldn't be fixed. And he was like, no. And I'm like, yeah, you did. We're twins. Like, we hash shit out by arguing. And he got super pissed at me. And he was like, Miranda, it can either be fixed or replaced. And when he said that, I was like, he's absolutely right. It can be fixed or replaced. So where did that... And I thought about this for a week before I finally understood. I dreamed this shit. And thought it was 100% real. So there you go. Y'all be good.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 30 Days of Halloween. So this is a dream that I've had that I actually don't think is a dream at all. So I've actually had multiple dreams that I think are not dreams at all, but this particular one is more of like an astral projection kind of dream, but then it felt so vivid that I didn't think it was a dream at all. Maybe I just astral project. So when I first came to the United States, I remember one day when I was living in Haiti, my older sister, Natasha, her name is Natasha, and she basically was living in a different town, and she told us one day she had called a house. Well, we didn't have a house. We didn't have a phone. We had a house. We didn't have a phone. She called from like one of those call places where you would go and make a phone call. That was really back in the days. But anyway, so she was like, oh, I'm going to come to Okap to come and get you guys, because she lived in this area called Wanamet. So if you guys know, you will know these areas. So Okap is a few hours away, but then it's like something where it's summertime, and sometimes she will come and pick us up, but then sometimes things just happen where she cannot come and pick us up, right? But she was like, oh, you guys are going to spend the summer with me. I'm going to come and pick you guys up. So I'm excited. So we went to this little river to go wash our clothes. And in Haiti, we'll go to the river, bring a big thing of clothes, and then wash it, and then lay the clothes out on the rocks, so they can get dry, because the rocks get really, really hot. But that's how people will dry up the clothes in Haiti, right? There are people who do have washer and dryer, but the ones who don't have, just that's what they do. And at the time we did not have a washer and dryer. So then we went there, and my whole thing that's in my head is like, my sister's gonna pick me up today, my sister's gonna pick me up today. So we are at the river, and she was supposed to pick us up because from my house to where the river is and then to where she is like halfway. So it's like right in the middle. So this river is known to have like supernatural things that happen there. But during the times I've ever visited as a child, nothing crazy ever happened. So while I'm at the river, I'm like thinking about her picking me up, picking me up, picking me up. I spent all day, the little lady that carries food, that sells food at the river, you know, she carries like a big pot of food on her head, walking by saying, oh, I'm bringing food to sell, blah, 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 walk by. And I'm expecting her to come by at least before the lady or right after the lady, but she never came. And then, but this is all in a dream, right? But in real life, this actually happened. Like, see, she was supposed to pick me up, but she never picked me up. I think it's because she couldn't pick me up, but I didn't hear anything from her, right? She just said she was going to pick us up, but she never did. And she never said why. She never said, like, something happened where I just can't pick you guys up. So I just never heard anything from her. So somehow I ended up in the same place where the river, because it was actually true that I went to the river to go wash the clothes and everything, and I was expecting to be picked up by my sister at that place, but it never happened, and I never hear anything. So therefore I'm like looking at my sister like, she lied. Why'd you lie? Why would you lie? Because I was a young child, and I'm like expecting you to come, and I'm excited to spend the summer with my sisters and everything. So she lied. So but I think it was because I was so anxious about going that I ended up dreaming about the same thing happening. But this time I was in the same river where we were washing the clothes, but it was nighttime. But the moon was so lit. And Haiti, when the moon is out, full moon, you can literally see everywhere. It's like a darker, you know, time. It's dark, but then the light of the moon light up the whole place. So I felt it so lit. But the thing is, I knew I was flying over the place where I was. Like I flew over, I could see everything. I could even see where, like, we were sitting down to wash the clothes. I see the spot where I was sitting, where I was just waiting for my sister because the river was literally over like a bridge. So there's a bridge, and then at the bottom is the river, and then that's where we're washing our clothes. So you can see all the cars pass by, and I'm flying over this bridge, looking down where we were sitting the day that we were washing the clothes, which was like a few days before I had a dream, right? I can see the spot where I was sitting. I can literally see myself sitting there looking at cars driving by. I saw every single thing like I was there. But I knew I was not there because it was nighttime. There were people just walking. Maybe you'll see like a couple here and there walking, and then somebody else here and there walking. But you cannot make out their face or who they are because it's nighttime. And the only thing you can see is the silhouette of the people walking, because it's like, it's almost like this picture. You know how like when the moon is out, it's like this bluish color outside. You can see everything, but you really cannot see everything. But anyways, so I astral project over that same spot. I don't know if it's because I was just so excited. Like I really wanted her to pick me up. I saw her, but I saw like a car stop by, and I see my little self sitting there at the spot, same spot where I was sitting that day, waiting on my sister. And I saw her come out of that car, and I'm so excited. I'm like happy for myself, my little self that's sitting in the corner waiting on her. And I get all excited because I see a car stop by on the bridge where I'm flying right over the bridge, and I see my sister coming out of the car so she can come down, take the stairs to come down so she can come in and reunite with us, so she can take me to her house. But even though I'm seeing this happening like in real time, it's almost as if it's not real. And then some way, somehow, something happened. I like flew away. Because she ended up reuniting with me, because I'm sitting there waiting on her, and I saw her and I got it all excited. Not me flying, but the little me that's sitting there like the day before. Sitting there, I reunite with her and everything, but me, that's the one that's flying as astral projecting, I disappeared. Like the whole thing I just woke up almost. But I also have another dream where I am all constantly falling all the time, and I have this is a reoccurring dream that I have all the time. I will tell you about it in the next dream video, because this one is a little bit scary. And when I actually got a life path reading, I'll tell you guys about it later. Anyways, talk to you guys later.